Hello everyone. It's been a week today since it all happened, since baby Oscar arrived. But I thought I'd do a video because so many people have been asking, how was your labour? What happened in labour? Did you have any pain relief? And I haven't got time to message everybody back, and the copy and pasting sometimes don't work because people are like, what are you on about? Because obviously I've been talking to a different person. So I shall tell it on here, and then everyone can, it's like a round off to Bex's pregnancy. So it all started Thursday afternoon, about 1:30, 2:30ish. I started getting twinges, and I was on tenterhooks anyway because I was overdue. So on the phone to my mum, Skyping my dad, and we were timing them, and they were pretty much every 10 minutes, so I was writing them down. Already spoke to the midwife, and she said that I wouldn't be allowed in until they were every 2 minutes, or no, 3 in 10 minutes apparently. So yeah, they were getting closer and closer, and I was bouncing on my ball, having my raspberry leaf tea, thinking, yeah, come on, but then cacking myself at the same time. So anyway, about 8:30, they got really, really bad. So rung the hospital, and they said, if you have tried the bath, going in the bath and nothing's working, she went, try and have something to eat, watch a film, distract yourself, try and sleep. I ain't gonna freaking sleep. So they said, if you're really in that much pain, come in, and we'll assess you and then go from there. Went in, and I was only 1 centimetre, but I was clinging on to the car door handle. The sort of contractions were kicking off. So she said, the only thing I can advise is go home because you're going to be more relaxed at home. Try and have a bath and chill. So all the way in the car on the way home, again clinging onto the door handle and the handle above, Craig driving like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. And then literally got home, was sort of clinging onto the drinks cabinet, talking to my mum on the phone, and they were getting closer and closer, and she said, just go back, ring him again. So I went upstairs and thought, do I try a shower rather than a bath? Because that's all they kept saying to me, go in the bath. And I thought, I can't even get in and out the bloody bath because I was in that much pain. So clinging onto my drawers upstairs, rung her back and said, I'm not coping, like, it's really hurting me now. So they called me back in, and this was about, well, I got there about 10:30. Went in by myself because Craig wasn't allowed in until I was at least 4 centimetres, which the class as active labour or something. Went in, struggled to get up the stairs. I think by that point they could see that I was in a lot of pain. So they assessed me, and I was still only like 1 to 2, but in an hour I'd gone from like 1 to 2 nearly. So they said they were going to keep me in, which I was kind of pleased about. Then what happened? So then they sort of said, we've got a gown for you, because she went, have you bought your stuff? But obviously I couldn't trudge upstairs with all my bags. So they put me in a gown, but they said, do you want to try a bath first? So I said, oh god, sod it, I went, just get me in the bath. But again, still having the contractions. Got in the bath, and I don't like baths at the best of times because I get really hot and then I get really pissy. So got in the bath, and I couldn't have the TENS machine on or anything because obviously in the bath. And then she said, oh, well, every time you have a contraction, if I swish the water over your bump, it might kind of help or distract you. No, it did not. So she said, oh, I'm just going to pop out for 2 ticks. That 2 ticks seemed like a frigging lifetime. I was sweating. I'd got a bit of makeup on, and the sweat was running in my eye, which was then peeing me off. So I was like trying to dab my eye, mascara going everywhere. Couldn't reach the towel that she'd given me. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm like marooned in the bath. And then she come back, and I said, I need to get out of the bath, I'm too hot. So she put cold water in, and she was swishing. Now, in between the contractions, the swishing was nice. During the contractions, no, I just wanted to cling on to her. So I said, I need to get out. It's just hurting me too much. So with that, she obviously took the plug out, and the weight of my bump when the water left the bath was just hideous. So I was in more pain than when I started. So then got out of the bath, put my gown thing on, and we were talking about pain relief, and I didn't want the whole epidural thing. I wanted to at least try. So we went with pethidine injection. And by that point, I started to lose it a bit. I couldn't lay down. The only position that I found comfortable was stood up and sort of leaning on the bed, to have the bed quite high that I could lean on and just kind of rock and sway. But she said, I know you're not 4 centimetres, but we're going to get your partner in because you're getting a bit distressed. So, told Craig to come in. He bought all the bags. And then I can't remember when I had the injection, what time it was, but I ended up having it when Craig was there. And pain relief wise, it didn't really do anything. If anything, it was more in between the contractions. It kind of chilled me out a bit more, but it didn't sort of edge the pain of the contractions. And by that point, I'd got the gas and air. And because of the pethidine injection, you have to lay on the bed, which I didn't want to do, but apparently it can make you a bit drowsy. So they had to put the monitors on my bump to make sure Beam was all right. But the only way that I could lay was on my side, and I'm surprised I didn't make a hole in the bed with my shuffling my feet. Every time I had a contraction, I was shuffling, chewing onto the gas and air. But from 10:30 that night till he was born, every 2 minutes I was getting a contraction, if not shorter. There was no let up. And she assessed me sort of middle of the night, and I was only 4 centimetres, but it was going on for ages. And I think after she'd assessed me, I managed to say to her, can I stand up, because I can't lay on the bed. But the assessing part hurt me more than the contractions because of the whole laying down thing. I don't know whether it was my back, Beam was pushing on my back, I don't know, but it wasn't pleasant. So yeah, standing up pretty much all night. And I had the TENS machine on, which I will advise they're bob on. The pads were sort of 2 on my shoulder blades and then like 2 at the bottom of my back, I think. but the ones I could feel the most was like my shoulder blade area, and I had it on full. And bless the midwife, every time I had a contraction, she'd press the boost, so it was like buzz, 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 like all the way through my contraction, which helped. But because Bean decided to come on the friggin' hottest day of the year, I was getting really dehydrated. I'd constantly got a bottle of water on the go. And ladies who are pregnant, and this is the main reason why I'm doing this video, just to give you a bit of an insight. One of these bottles with a straw, because the last thing you want to be doing is that, tipping it up. I said, at least you can just sip. Yeah, so stood up and my waters hadn't gone. But I kept feeling like something was coming. But apparently no, apparently that was just still my show. But I was aware of something kind of going on. So still going on for hours, just swaying, TENS machine, gas and air. Craig was knackered, bless him. He was trying to stay awake to keep me kind of going. But I told him to sit down and try and have a bit of a nap, which he didn't. He didn't argue. But the chair that he was in was like straight, so he was sort of curled. But during my contractions, I was giving him evils, thinking, "You bastard, you're sleeping, and I'm in pain." But then I watched the sunrise, still having my contractions, still chewing on the gas and air. And it was just before that midwife went off shift, so just before 7. She said she's going to break my waters. And again, had to lay on my back, was dreading it because obviously the assessments were painful. But she said some women can feel kind of like a release or relieved by having the waters broken. I did not. One bit. If anything, it made them worse. But I just kept thinking, like, the end result. But it was a long friggin' end result. And yeah, waters broke. 2 new midwives came in. Well, a midwife and a trainee, but they were both lovely. The main sort of midwife was a bit more strict than the one I'd had in the night time. But it wasn't a bad thing, because I need that. I need someone to be like, shut up, you're doing this. So when they assessed me, I was still only 4 before they broke my waters, and I don't know whether it was late morning, the time kind of merged into one by then, but I was 8, so they decided to give me a sweep to take me further. Now, again, laid on the back, hated it, and I would have kicked her in the head. The trainee one was nice. She obviously felt it, but she said there was still a bit of my cervix there. So the main midwife went in, had a rummage, but a rummage and a half, because obviously they were trying to take me to the point where I could push. But yeah, wasn't pleasant. Swore. Although I didn't swear a lot. I think I probably swear more now, like not in labour, than I did during labour. So yay. And then by this point, I could only stand up, and they said they don't usually see women that are more comfortable stood up than laid down. But they were wanting me to drink Lucozade and have dextrose tablets because I was getting dehydrated. Although I was drinking my water, it wasn't doing a lot. And yeah, drinking the Lucozade was just giving me a full-on clag. where then I couldn't breathe properly on the gas and air because I had like thick bloody spit at the back of my throat. So I said the last thing I want to do is chew on a powdery dextrose tablet. Anyway, Craig, by this point, was munching on some Haribo. And the midwife went, oh, give her one. Give her one of them. What have you got? And bless him, he bought all the little sweeties and laid them out on the bed and said, Bex, do you want a Fantastic, Tangtastic, whatever they're called, or a Haribo, or a Squishy? No, Craig. So I think the stare I gave him was enough, because then he just collected them and then went back to sit in his seat. And the midwife went, it will be good for you though. And I said, I don't want to eat. I don't want sweeties. I just want to drink. Yeah, so it was just hideous. But by this point, I started to get the pressure in me bum. And I noticed the noises I was making during my contractions had changed. Like it was more of like a grunt than like a ooh. I didn't scream though. She said I was quite quiet, but I was obviously making noise. But she kept saying, do you need a poo? Because apparently that is how it feels. And yes, I did. But I wanted to try and shy away from it because of the pain. So she said, why don't you try and sit down rather than lay down? Tried to sit me on a birthing ball. No. Hell no. The last thing I wanted to do was sit on my foo. No. And then she said, why not try a birthing chair? Now, this birthing chair was like the chairs at a kindergarten. How she expected me to bend down to it, beyond me. Hats off to women who can, by the way. But no, I couldn't. I just wanted to stand. And I thought I'd end up giving birth stood up because I wouldn't want to lay down. But in the end, that wasn't the case. They then assessed me again. But each time, before any assessment, you have to have a wee. And obviously I was only on gas and air. The pethidine that they gave me was doing sod all, because I ended up having another injection. Don't know whether it was just as the new midwives came on, but it was a double dose and it didn't touch me. Like I couldn't feel it. It was like I didn't have it. But yeah, because I had to go for a wee, I had to be parted with the gas and air, which was like my safety blanket. So they came to the toilet with me. I was clinging onto their hand while trying to push my TENS machine going. And I couldn't wee because I was having full-on contractions. So they said, if you can't wee yourself, we're going to have to put a catheter in you. And my dad being a nurse, I kind of know what a catheter is, and I was just like, no, please. But no, I couldn't wait, so I ended up having to have a catheter twice. Did that, but it didn't hurt. It was just kind of uncomfortable. But I think by that point, I was like, just get it out of me. But again, because I was so dehydrated, yeah, it was like syrup. Not nice. Apologies for that. But then, when they assessed me, I was near enough 9, 10. So they said, because you're getting the pressure in your bum, it's a good sign, like he's coming. Oh dear. And yeah, they were like, bear with 1 moment. This is what it was all worth. Yeah, this is what it was all for. I can't even talk. So yeah, by that point, ready. It's gonna happen. So I was laid down. I didn't end up getting back up again. I just thought, sod it, I'm just gonna go with it. And they said try and push. Now, obviously most of you will probably know it's push like you need to have a poo. Now, I don't personally poo laid on my back, so that sensation to do that is weird. And my brother kept saying chin on chest like you need to poo, and that's all I had in my head as I was doing it. But they were saying grab my legs behind my knees, and I couldn't do it. I didn't have the energy to pull and push as well, so it was like that. So I found I was pushing in my throat and my chest, not my bum. The only way that I found comfortable was to put my feet on their back, so the midwives had to turn around, so they kind of pushed my legs right up close to me for me to push. But I couldn't do it. They said I was giving some good pushes, but not every single one was correct. So by this point, they'd already put the monitors on me because Oscar's heart rate was dipping, and then when it was coming back up, it was going too high. So they said if I basically don't get my shit together, they're going to have to intervene and help me. But I just couldn't. I couldn't. And there was like assessing me, which again hurt me more. So anyway, next thing I know, a doctor's come in the room and said that as well as a sister, like a head midwife, she was actually really good. She did get a bit shitty with me, but again, needed it. And they said, we want to see you give some good pushes before we make the decision of whether you're going to have a ventouse, which is the cup on the head. Tried, probably gave 2 good pushes, but again, not enough. So they said, right, we're going to have to give you a hand. But the sister midwife, she said that I've got to push as well. They can't just pull it out, because I think I actually said, can you just drag it out of me now, because it's just hurting me. But still on my gas and air, clinging on to Craig. He was sort of up by my head by this point. I had another midwife here holding my hand, and they were sort of gowning my legs up. They put my legs in the stirrups, gowned my legs up, and taught me through everything. But I started to lose my shit, because when they was assessing me to find where the head was, I was like, ow, that was hurting me more. Anyway, another doctor came in, a guy. So there was 5 people plus me and Craig. They were telling me to push, but as I was pushing, they was obviously having their hands trying to get the cup on his head to then pull on my next contraction. But the midwife said to the doctors, she's very good at disguising her contractions, like breathing through them. So they said I had to be honest when I had a contraction, and I must admit I did sort of not tell them about 2, 3 maybe, but because I was in that much pain and I was like, oh, I don't want to push. But the pushing hurt less than the contractions, so in hindsight I should have just pushed. But again, when the cup was being put on, the sister midwife got shitty with me and said, Bex, right, sort your shit out, you've got to push, because your baby, because obviously we didn't know what was happening, your baby's getting distressed now, so we need you to crack on. So, again, trying my hardest. But it felt different on the nice. It felt different on that couple of pushes. And obviously because they were pulling on him. So, pulled on him. And the guy doctor was saying to the female doctor, pull low, don't pull high, pull low, don't pull high. And that's all I kept hearing him say. Next thing I know, the cup pinged off, hit the bloody female doctor in the head. She's now covered in my blood. And then obviously I'm having my contractions still. Craig looks fucking mortified. Sorry for swearing. Craig looks mortified. But then I had to put the cup back on. So during my next contraction or whatever, they ended up having to put their hand up me again to put the cup back on. So again, hurt like a bitch. Finally got the cup on. Contractions, being shouted at to push, like I was having a poo. And I felt the head. Now for me, the head didn't hurt. Like when people say the crowning of the head, it didn't hurt anymore. It probably hurt less than one of my contractions. I then felt his head turn, and then next thing he's on my tummy. And then everyone's just like, oh my God, you did it, and you got a boy. I looked at Craig and he's sort of like welling up saying, Bex, we've got a boy. And all I could say was that I did it. Without getting emotion. I've been really, really good throughout this video. But yeah, and then he was placed on my tummy. So, like, my advice for the girls who I know are still pregnant is go in with an open mind. I kind of went in a bit cocky thinking, yeah, I've watched every single one born every minute. I've read up, I've done my antenatal classes. I know it. I knew shit. You know, obviously, why they're doing what they're doing. Like if you need any pain relief or whatever. But no, every labour is different. So I'd had people tell me, oh, this is what it felt like for me. I didn't really feel pain. My labour was quick. I've had girls say there was like 24 hours in labour. Everybody is different, and my whole experience was not what I expected. I'm sort of proud of myself that I managed to do it on just the gas and air and probably the pethidine if it worked. But straight after the birth, I did say to the doctor when they were stitching me, because they cut me as well. They gave me a little cut, which was a grade 1 cut, so like the smallest one. I did say, if we have another that's coming out of the sunroof, and she said, will you believe us if we say that it gets easier and that you won't need a C-section? And I was like, we'll see. But when people say you forget it, you do. Like, I haven't forgotten the experience, and I know that I was in a lot of pain, but pretty much after, like, not even 5 minutes afterwards, I was talking normally and watching Craig with Oscar and just sort of sat there. Did use my gas and air though when she was stitching me up. That wasn't cool. Like shoving swabs up me. Not cool, just after they've been rummaging. But the midwife said, Bex, you do know you can put the gas and air down, sort of even when they weren't doing anything. And I said, I've been on it for like 14 hours. It's just a habit now. But yeah, ladies who are still pregnant, go in with an open mind. Obviously have your birth notes on what you would like to achieve, but it could all go to shit when you get in there. Like, probably about 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning the next day, I was contemplating saying, just give me an epidural, because I was that fed up of just swaying by the side of the bed and nothing happening. But the midwives had already said to me they're reluctant to give me one because it'll slow it up. And they said, I know you're in pain, but you're handling the pain well, so we don't think you're in that much pain. And I was like, you don't know what I'm feeling. I think I was just more fed up and hot. Oh, and a fan. Take a little fan, a little battery-powered fan, because I had that on all night and all day. But yeah, that was my labour story. And now it's been a week. For the past 2 nights, we've had 5 plus 6 maybe-ish hours broken sleep, but better than what I expected. So yeah, good luck to the girlies that are still pregnant, and it will be worth it. And then you'll forget about it, and then you'll just... Oh, and I've lost my virginity of being pooed on, weed on, and vommed on as well already. So, hashtag winning at life. But thanks for watching if you've watched. Sorry if I bored the boobs off you, but this is for the people that are interested. But I just want to say thank you so much for all the love, the messages. I know you've all been on the journey with me, but I really do appreciate it. So, much love, peeps, and I'll update you soon.